What's up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. Hope all is well with you. Now, guys, you saw the thumbnail. I want to talk to you about legendary gangster rapper Ice Cube. And let me just say from the very first start here, guys, I do not enjoy having to make a video like this, but there are some things that I just will not let get past me. And I have great respect for the contributions and the accomplishments of Ice Cube. He got a lot of play with me a long time ago. That's my era of rap right there. I've always enjoyed the music of NWA and Ice Cube, of course, when he went solo and all that stuff. That's not about that. I have a great amount of respect for the man. But once again, I saw something on Twitter, and I'm not going to let this get past me. I have to address it because we have to be clear about certain things, okay? Now, what happened on Twitter? Ice Cube went onto Twitter, and he did what a lot of celebrities do that they shouldn't do. He went on to invite people to ask him anything, okay? So here's the tweet from Ice Cube. I'm going to read it to you. It says, simply hit me in the comments with a question, okay? So this is something that he's inviting. Ask me anything, he says. People are doing just that. It got almost 3,000 replies. And one of them was, get this, was NWA part of the agenda to destroy conscious rap, which was growing in popularity at the time, and promote sex, violence, and gangster behavior? Ooh, 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 ooh. Talk about a loaded question. Was NWA part of the agenda to destroy conscious rap, which was growing in popularity at the time, and promote sex, violence, and gangster behavior amongst the youth? Oh boy. Okay. Well, let's see. Ice Cube actually did not answer that question directly. However, somebody else chimed in with another comment which says, unfortunately, music did play a part with the crack being pumped into our Black and Latino neighborhoods. Now, this is when Ice Cube comes back with his reply. Note, he did not answer the initial question, but now somehow this has triggered him. Mr. Cube comes back with, bullshit. Crack was in the neighborhoods a decade before gangster rap. In the 70s, they called it freebase. So was heroin, weed, mollies, gangbanging, drive-bys, pimping and hoeing, dropping out of school, young girls getting pregnant, cussing, and using the word nigga. It was all here before NWA. Now keep in mind, guys, I read to you what the initial comment was there. This person said music played a part with crack being pumped into our Black and Latino communities. He didn't say anything about NWA. Seems that maybe this rubbed Ice Cube the wrong way. Maybe there's a raw nerve there or something, because he jumps right on that and gets very defensive that all of these vices and things like that in the hood were there before NWA, he says. Okay. And of course, that's not wrong. You know, all of these things were there. But as somebody who was ground zero around the time that NWA broke, I can put a little bit of context in here. And I can tell you that when NWA came out, hip hop was in a place where, although all of those things that Ice Cube talks about was indeed going on, you know, crack and usage of the word nigga and people dropping out of school, teen pregnancies, all of that stuff was there. But where hip hop was at that time was a place of growth. Now, I'm not saying there was no negative hip hop that was back then. Of course there were. Of course there was. You know, there was a lot of gangsterism stuff going on. Hip hop, after all, reflected what was in the street. But it was at a very important time when positivity was becoming more of the norm. And you had groups like Public Enemy that was being listened to and making a positive impact. Queen Latifah, Ladies First. We're talking about Brand Nubian. We're talking about X-Clan. We're talking about Native Tongues, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Big Daddy Kane. Just about everybody who was coming out with some sort of positive message to balance out what was going on in the streets. Everyone talked about, as a matter of fact, Ice-T, a prominent rapper from the West Coast, also did his share of gangster rap. He was out then too, and he was talking about a lot of that gangster stuff. But Ice-T always had a message of, you don't want to do this. His rhymes sounded more like a cautionary tale about what can happen to you if you do all of these things. NWA was a little bit different when they came out. It was more about raw emotion and outrage and anger. And of course, we accepted that because there's a place for that. A lot of us were feeling that. They put to words what a lot of us were actually feeling out there. But there's no denying that it did actually influence the trajectory of hip hop, if you will. And Ice Cube actually addresses that in a later tweet too, because this is an ongoing thing. He says, where is it? What part did NWA play? Is it our fault that most of hip hop bit our style? So basically, he's admitting that NWA was influential on hip hop and the climate of hip hop at that time, whereas everyone wanted to be gangster after that. Everyone wanted to be hard after that. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't cool to be positive, and be upbeat and things like that. And I don't have a problem with that, guys. I mean, it was what it was. Like I said, I was rocking with it too. But to deny your part in that, to me, is disingenuous. And that part right there is not respectable to me, Ice Cube. You do have to own up to the role that you played. I mean, after all, you see a lot of artists taking bows and catching flowers for the positive impact that they have on society. When you hear that you changed somebody's life for the better or inspired somebody, everybody wants to come out and you want to get your accolades for that. Well, equally, you have to take accountability for any negative aspect that you might have had on the culture as well. And looking back on it, unless you're just not honest, we all have to admit that gangster rap has not been healthy for the black community, especially when we were moving into a more positive space. Back then in the 90s and everything like that, you had shows like A Different World. It was already proven when A Different World came out that, it was a spinoff of The Cosby Show. Enrollment went way through the roof in black colleges, from black students going to college and everything like that, because they wanted to emulate what they saw on TV. Your pop culture is always going to have an influence on the people that consume your product. That's just a fact. It's a scientific fact. The whole Different World thing, you had everyone wanted to wear the Dwayne Wayne glasses, where they flipped up and everything like that. You're an influencer, whether you like it or not. So when NWA came out, it 100% did influence the climate that was in hip hop and the effects that it had on the hood. And it's disingenuous to me that Ice Cube would even take this stance, because just a few videos ago, I was talking about an interview that Ice Cube did where he was talking about the negative influence of rap. And I just want to refresh your memory by reading something right here. He says, in the early 90s, hip hop was still somewhat of a pure form, Ice Cube said. An inevitable but hangs in the air. But after that, companies like Black Rock and Vanguard started controlling the music industry. Then, of course, the agenda changed. They pushed that kind of music out and popularized music that ain't really talking about nothing but sex and cars and girls and clubbing and jewelry and bullshit. They pushed that to the front and made that the most popular rap. And they have the power to do that because they control the radio stations, the television networks. They control most of the outlets. This is, Cube suggests, because Black Rock and Vanguard have investments in private prisons and therefore stand to profit from popularizing the types of behavior that land more people in those private prisons. They don't want you to do nothing that's going to liberate you, Cube continues. They want to push music that has no substance so the people listening won't have no substance. All right, so on some level, Ice Cube knows that music can have a positive or a negative impact on the people who listen to it. Back then, you had movies like Boys in the Hood that Ice Cube starred in. You had Menace to Society. Boys in the Hood, I remember, like I said, I was there. Most dudes walked away wanting to be like Doughboy. Menace to Society, most people walked away wanting to be like O-Dog. You know what I mean? So there's no denying that. And now that we're getting older, We have to admit that. I was part of the culture too. You know what I'm saying? But if we want to do better for our sons and daughters and everything like that, it helps nothing to be in denial about the role or the mistakes that we might have made in this. Because one of the things that I've always said about hip hop that always stood out to me is, as far as I can tell, it's the first art form. It's the first form of pop culture where black men actually have their own voice. We have our own voice. Of course, now we have our own voice on things like social media, YouTube, which is how I'm talking to you right now, which is why I tell people, take your voice seriously, because we have so many people who are misrepresenting us out here. You know, news outlets and things like that. You go on Twitter, all you see are black people doing terrible things, but you have the power to tell your own story, you know, your own way. And that is what we share with hip hop. You know, those of us who are doing content creation and things like that, hip hop was the same way. So because we had that ability to broadcast our own voices and to amplify our concerns and things like that, yeah, it's very important that you represent yourself the right way. So now that we know better, we can do better. We can speak better. But we don't get to deny the mistakes that we made. And Ice Cube, you were part of it, man. You were part of it. NWA did set back the hip hop movement. It did. It was necessary in a way because you had to express outrage and things like that. But it just got to the point where it was taken like way too far. And Ice Cube, you're an intelligent man, and I know you know what I'm talking about, and I know you know the truth. After all, you were on Public Enemy's song, Burn Hollywood Burn, where you were talking about misappropriating the images of black men and black people in general. You know, so when you get on a record and everyone knows you around the world as some niggas with attitudes, and you talking about F the police, and you talking about dope man and all of this stuff that you're talking about, you know, like I said, you were reflecting the streets. I cannot fault you for that. But at the same time, you need to be honest about where hip hop was when NWA did drop. There was a setting back in that movement. So I just wanted to point that out, guys, because I'm all about the truth here. That's what I do. I'm here to represent the truth. Like I said before, I have a small platform here, but you know, on Twitter, everyone is getting Ice Cube's back. Everyone is defending him and, you know, just championing him and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's all good, but we can't ignore the truth of this. And that's all I'm saying, man. With love and respect, Ice Cube came out with the Contract for Black America. I did videos on that supporting him. So this is not hating Ice Cube, but we got to have a fair and balanced view on this so we can do better. All right, guys. So that's it. I just wanted to point that out. You can get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about Ice Cube. You know, he was asking for it. He wanted someone to ask a question. Was NWA, or do you feel like NWA was utilized or part of the setting back of black progression in the 90s? And man, the answer's got to be yes. It absolutely was. You know, it was mishandled, and that's the reason why you left NWA in the first place, you know, over money and the fact that you felt like you weren't doing what you needed to do as an artist, as a growing artist. And anyway, guys, I've said enough. You can get in the comment section and let me know how you feel about all of this. And as always, I thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your support, the super things, all of that, guys. Much love. And I will catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.